John Bailey, board member, and we just go around for everybody, state their name and who you represent.
Dave Harnick, town board member.
Sandra Thompson, clerk treasurer.
I'm Joe Bell, HWC Engineering, here supporting NDOT for this project.
Okay.
Holly Burrow-Vogel, I'm the scoping manager with NDOT Vincent's district.
Clancy Sturgeon-Malott, I'm the NDOT PM, project manager.
Nathan Moshes, I'm our pavement asset engineer.
Riley Hancock, Pavement and Tech Services intern.
Okay. Nice to meet all of you, and, so, looks like someone may have just pulled in.
I think
It might have been,
might be.
okay.
Apologies. We can go ahead and keep going. They'll catch up. Go ahead.
Well, so we'll just, I guess we'll use this agenda to start off with, you want to talk about project limits and limit it to US 231 that goes through the town of Bloomfield then.
Yeah.
From Richland Creek Bridge, to west of Park Lane.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So we're really here today just to kind of do an introduction to each other and also an introduction to what we've got in front of us. This project is extremely preliminary. Hello, just got started. If you guys want to sit down.
Just, come on around the table, guys. Don't be bad.
Oh, okay.
Pass that down.
Sign in and the agenda is perfect. Thank you.
And if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, I'll keep talking.
So you two are,
So I'm an intern. So my name is V.S. Nagasani. I'm working as a GIS intern this summer in Vincent's district.
okay,
Yeah, I'm Fahad. I'm working as a traffic engineering intern.
okay.
From Vincent's district.
David Dreamer, NDOT Vincent's District Traffic Engineer.
Okay, and I'm John Bailey, the town board member.
Dave Harnick, town board member.
Awesome. Great to meet you both.
Yeah, nice to meet you all too. So,
So yeah, thank you. Apologies for that. We're really excited to be here. Again, this project is extremely preliminary in nature. So much that it does not have any funding yet. We're hoping to get it funded because we see the need for this project as a district. We've got our proposed start limits and our proposed end limits, but that's about how far we are on this project, to tell you how preliminary it is. The town of Bloomfield was identified for a few different reasons. The pavement condition, the sidewalk connectivity, there were a handful of different aspects that we identified as a need. And we are looking at all of the small towns throughout the district to see which ones have the greatest need, and Bloomfield was identified as one. So with that, we would love to do a project here, but we are also going against all of the other small towns in the state of Indiana. Every district, so there's 6 NDOT districts, they took forward a handful of small towns and said, okay, we want to do work here. So we're all competing for the same funding, and we hope that Bloomfield gets chosen as one of those. So,
and we do too.
yeah, right? So again, we're really here to just here today to hear your needs. So areas where you think there might be drainage issues, any areas where you guys might identify an area that's really high pedestrian crossing. So where are people crossing the road all the time? Where's there standing water after a rainstorm? We want to hear any future projects that you guys might have planned along the corridor, things like that. That's why we're really here today. We're working with our consultant HWC, Joe Bell, to put together a really detailed scope. So for us, that means, okay, the project starts here and ends here, but here are all the details. So we would like to do this to the roads. Our pavement engineer, Nathan, he's gonna help us determine, okay, this is the kind of treatment. Do we just need to put another 1.5 inches, take off 1.5 inches and put 1.5 inches of asphalt back? Or do we need to replace the whole thing? David Reamer, our traffic engineer, we're working with him to say, okay, what stoplights need to be updated, looking at all of those details. Joe's helping us combine all of that into a really nice report, get an estimate for it, but we're really at the starting line, so, would like to go over a lot, but we're at the really, really early stages of all of this.
Okay, and so there's no specific, area that you're looking at in terms of, status of the road or status of sewers or whatever, it's just whatever. It's basically just whatever that pertains to the vicinity of 231 that goes to the town, is that?
Yeah, for the most part, we've got items that we see as need. I believe there are a couple of traffic signals that need to be updated to meet current standards. Same thing, you mentioned ADA sidewalks, getting them all compliant. There are a few spots that we wanna make sure that we're being compliant with. But with a project like this, you know, we wanna leave it in a really great condition, so upgrade rideability. Nathan's gonna be looking at pavement structure, what's out there now, and what does it need to get a good useful life out of it.
There's a lot of traffic that goes through the town of Bloomfield, both on 231 as well as State Road 54 as well. We have the sand and gravel, plant just over on the grade, just west of Bloomfield. And we get heavy use from that with all the road construction that's gone on. So, our road network, gets a lot of usage and from a lot of heavy traffic. A lot of traffic goes, through, Bloomfield, south on 231, to and from, the town's Crane base. A lot of people from Linton and here in Bloomfield are employed at Crane, so there's a lot of, personal traffic that goes through there. There's also a, Crane has a project, that's just off of US 231, it's about 5 miles, I think, south here, and I'm not exactly sure what it pertains to, but it's gonna be, my understanding is going to employ about 300 people when it's, finished. And it's just off of, the east side of 231. So have concerns about additional traffic, coming and going, through that area as well.
It's gonna be about a mile east.
Yeah.
Off the highway.
Yeah, they've already purchased, I think around 11 or 1,300 acres of property. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, and of course, our Westgate, you're probably all familiar with Westgate. It continues to expand, they've got a couple of big projects in place down there.
There are actually 3 going right now,
Uh,
construction.
Yeah. So, just the actual road itself, we have concerns about the ability for it to be maintained as well. Bloomfield itself also is, built on a lot of sand, there's a lot of sand, in the town of Bloomfield, so we have a lot of, things that wash out in the streets and sewers that, oftentimes get, clogged up with sand, and, it becomes quite a project to keep them up and going. And a lot of our sewage systems, I would say, are pretty old throughout the town. I'm not sure if we have anything current on that, or 231, that, in this, drainage. What about the intersection right up, down there at the stoplight? I don't know if we have any problems with water drainage.
Well, when we get any kind of, it doesn't have to be a real heavy rain, but definitely pretty hard rain. I'll call it the east stoplight, there's 2 stoplights, I'll say east and west, one each side of the courthouse. On the east, where 231 makes the 90-degree goes west, it goes straight up 157 and 150 yards, there's a large hill and water, I mean, it comes down and it runs clear past the intersection where the stoplight is. There is, I think there is a storm catch, but it doesn't catch
Yeah.
anywhere near all of it.
You know, I think that would be a primary issue with, the water flow here in town, as it pertains to 230. And a stoplight, I think, didn't we just have when the lights went out, a couple weeks ago, that, it's been, the light bulb itself's been replaced, but, I'm not sure how old those light fixtures are, but there's some age on them.
And I think for the folks straight west of us, we're direct shot, they're coming in from the west on, well, 54 on west, and then 231 makes a 90, about 5 mile, but from we're direct shot in Bloomfield for IU. I mean, ball game days, I mean, folks are lined up, getting through town.
And something tells me that it's your football season this year, you might have a little bit of
Mhm.
increased traffic, I don't know why I have that
Kind of
feeling,
a pleasant
but.
problem.
Yeah. Lots of IU traffic then, okay.
Of course, I'm sure you're familiar, I know it's not within the Bloomfield, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the grade between Bloomfield and White River Bridge. It's, we do certainly appreciate the work that was done on it, because it was just, vehicles were getting damaged, but so, there's been a lot of improvement made to it, but there's still a lot more. I know the engineers, I've been to meetings where, for a couple different things, but what seemed to me, and I just want to, mention the grade over there, but it's not just a matter of, digging up the road or the asphalt and pouring new, it's all the way down toward the bottom, I guess, is where the drainage is, and it's causing, problems, so. I hope that's on NDOT's radar
Absolutely.
to come and work on that.
Yeah, that continues to be on our radar, absolutely.
Yeah. And I would also be, I feel like I need to mention, just, at the stoplight where 231 turns south, just, it's actually on State Road 54, but it's one of our businesses there. When, that road, I think it's several years ago, help me up, Dave, you can.
Yeah, it would have been
better.
6, 7 years ago, somewhere in that range.
They opened, I think NDOT came and widened the, turn so that, the big vehicles could, turn easier to get onto US 231 head south.
Okay.
When that happened, our understanding was the sewer line to that business got cut. And it still hasn't been repaired. The owner, I guess, she feels like that, it was been caused by NDOT whenever, they come in and do the work, so I don't know, since it's not a part of US, why we're here to talk about, but I just felt like that needs to be brought up too, to see if there's something that could be, we'd be happy to do, you know,
That's within, it's within 100 feet, or 100 feet of that intersection,
Yeah.
for their house.
yeah. So I would appreciate if you all would maybe take a look at it as you scope out, because it's, we don't know how, what the cost of that's gonna be, but anyway, that's something that definitely needs to be done, we just haven't found the funds yet in our budget to be able to really take care of it. What else on 231 in the area, what concerns?
I might let Joe take over a little bit and kind of go through his list, and if
Okay.
any ideas come through my mind as we're talking through any of these big buckets of potential work, please interrupt and
Okay,
and
sure.
let us know, does that work?
Yeah,
I just don't want us to forget anything either.
Yeah, no, this is, again, preliminary, so we're assessing, you see the word assess a lot
Yeah.
on here written down. So we're gonna look at a lot of things. We're gonna look at design alternatives for roadway cross-section elements for pedestrian and vehicle vehicular improvements. So the whole cross-section, I mean, there's sections of missing sidewalk, there's curb that's been buried by previous HMA overlays and or other work. There's drainage in those curbs. There's intersections, I think you were talking about some of these that we're gonna assess, where, maybe the pedestrian movement isn't, up to ADA standards, we gotta address that. So anything that's completed as part of this project will have, an ADA compliance in mind for pedestrian movements, but also like an asset pavement condition, sidewalk, curb, traffic signals, signs, all these things in mind, when we go through and assess everything. So it'll be a comprehensive assessment where we'll present alternatives, cost estimates, and really support, a whole laundry list of things on 231.
Or a state or federal highway, there's 231 is federal, but, correct?
Right.
Or state for that matter. Is NDOT responsible for the curb?
So we're looking at right-of-way limits, but as part of this project, I believe that NDOT would be responsible for the curb, depending on where it is and what is impacted.
Yeah.
So if we've got an inlet, for example, and a curb and gutter, where we might have to like open cut the road, put an inlet, put it back to an inlet essentially.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific, I just,
Something like that would be,
I'd have to look at believe it or not, there are, standards and law with what is our responsibility and what is a town's responsibility. We typically say the phrase curb to curb, but I know it depends on the funding and the details going along with it. You guys might have an agreement, I've seen towns that have an agreement with NDOT from 70 years ago, and all of that the answer to that question will vary. Typically, and David Reamer can correct me if I'm wrong on this, the sidewalks are a town's ownership, it's their asset. We might have funding that allows us to upgrade them, so this would be one of those situations where we can provide connectivity, we can get some federal funds that allow us to do that. But typically that is the town's responsibility. If we're doing a roadway project and we see that a failure in the curb is a detriment to the roadway, we will do that again, just to make the roadway, we want the best product of our roadway, right? So we'll replace that curb, so our roadway will stay intact longer. So that's not a real clean, it's a very muddy answer to that question, I'm afraid. David, do you have anything else to add on that, or Nathan too?
I think, as far as sidewalks go, that's exactly, you hit it on the head.
So clear as mud, sorry. We would be, with this project, with this funding, if there's curb that needs to be replaced or placed, to promote drainage, to allow for a safe sidewalk, things like that, we will be including that in this project.
Painting curbs, along the highway, who would be responsible for that?
I'm gonna bump that one to David.
Yeah, that would be, and Joe's still working on assessing each of those locations, but that would likely be addressed as part of this. And I don't know all the details yet until we see that first draft of the engineer's report, but it would be anticipated that we would take care of that as part of this, and any ADA ramp work that's needed as part of that as well, upgrading them to any needed standards.
I think
is that standard on again, a state or federal highway for NDOT to take care of the areas need to be marked off yellow?
Yeah, usually, so if there's, for instance, like a fire hydrant, we wanna follow the standards and specifications required for that fire hydrant, things like that.
But forget this project as either, but if that's,
Oh, I see.
if if we drive up along the highway today and, you know, this project's nowhere
Yeah,
near,
sure, sure.
we see areas that ought to be yellow, is that NDOT responsibility?
I think they're gonna wanna do a traffic
We
analysis,
can-
but.
And you're just talking curb paint, correct?
I'm saying, areas that were yellow, it's pretty much
Okay.
wore off.
Typically what we've done in the past is we can provide you paint. I would recommend our NDOT for you line will be the best option to get in touch with traffic operations and what we've done for most locations now. Maintenance, I'm not for sure on, this is more for new curved areas, but I believe we can provide the paint if you can apply it, has been how we've handled it in the past.
That's definitely a need, all along 231, that curb have been painted.
You're talking yellow curb
Yellow.
for on-street parking type of designation?
Well, or whatever.
Yeah. And you were probably talking about center line. Is that what you're talking about? Or were you talking
No,
about
I was
painted curb?
I was talking about curbs.
You're talking about curb.
Now, center line, I would think that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely, I was gonna say, that's definite, yes.
Yeah, probably should, and this project in general, Holly has basically said it, but it's weird because the small town projects are relatively new in their current iteration, and the goal is just, I would say, good asset management is the primary goal, so they don't fit into that neat bucket of, this is what we typically do on a roadway project, or this is what we typically do on drainage. There's not a lot of typical here because we wanna do what's right for Bloomfield, which means we can't do a one-size-fit-all by nature of the job, but that gives us more flexibility to do these types of improvements as part of it, since we're a little more flexible to make sure we do the right thing for the right location.
Okay.
Not overstepping saying that, right?
Yeah, I just did it wonderfully.
Okay.
And the rub is the funding limitation faced by the entire state, 6th District, Central Office, all of Indiana and NDOT. I mean, there's not infinite funding for every project, and that's kind of where we're at. So we have to hold this one up and compare it to others of similar nature, small town type projects all over the state. So it's a little, I think, gonna be competitive probably, so we'll do our best to, complete the case.
Okay.
And we wanna gather all the things that you've been telling us. I mean, kind of the spots that are drainage issues, on-street parking, curb, that, I know there's parking meters that may have some age out here as well. So I mean, all of these things we're looking at, and we're, kind of estimating, showing a cost benefit type of ratio to, if we replace this, how much good can we do without getting, super technical, but, that's the kind of stuff we're looking at.
With an area, it'd be the west stoplight, go west for a block. And when you come in this direction, go coming east, the road is narrow, you get narrower. Once you get to the west stoplight and start going past the north side of the courthouse, the road is wider. Is that something you could give us recommendations for, or?
That's a big issue there, David. That's probably one of the most important things. There's been a lot of
Mirrors torn off.
mirrors torn busted off
Okay.
because it gets very narrow there, and that would, that's right on 230.
And we debated on taking out a parking meter on this side or one on the other side, but you got businesses on both sides that, I don't take my parking meter out, I'm sure, I mean,
So they are used.
yeah,
The coin one? The
Yeah.
coin meter,
Yes.
yeah, okay. And used and enforced and all that kind of stuff, huh?
somewhat. We've got new meters,
Okay,
we just got them.
okay.
So I think there are two things we wanna talk about here. Go ahead, David. You were-
No, I think this is one where that's one of the purposes of today's meeting is we wanna give you what you need out of this project, and parking's a great example of if something isn't serving the town, it's never going to be a better time to make the changes than we're already doing pavement and pavement markings, curb work, all that fun stuff. So let's make sure we're doing it right and leaving behind exactly what you need for the town moving forward. So that's one of the purposes of this early meeting is Joe to take his notes when they're putting together their engineer's report. That'll give them the best cost estimate possible towards that.
So there's two things I wanna hit on, so parking meters are still in use, so if we were needing to replace a sidewalk to make it ADA compliant, you would want the parking meters put back. That was a question we had, I know, we've walked it once, we tried to do our homework before today a little bit, come up with a good list of questions for you guys, but, so the parking meters is something that you would want put back?
Yes.
So I'm hearing that, am I hearing that right? Okay, and then the other thing is parking, so just in general, you would want to leave the parking that's in place or increase it, remove some of it. It sounds like keep it no matter what, but is it meeting your needs today? Not that we can go add a bunch of parking, cause we're not adding pavement, but I
We
just,
removed some parking when we decided to get new meters
okay,
on side streets.
okay.
Is this a look at a map and kind of identify specific locations kind of exercise that we might go through with you at some point, as far as like on street parking? You're talking about yellow curbs and where they might need more yellow curbs, indicating, hey, don't park here. But also new parking meters, and maybe all of them not being utilized. I'm trying to, we wanna hone in on specific quantity of those things as close as we can at this point, to better estimate them and provide them out with, decision-making tools to go forward or not. Is that something that Bloomfield has mapped or kind of a list, priority lists, and anything like that, anywhere that we could?
I don't know if we have a priority list.
Okay. Okay, maybe we could work with you on something like that with a map and kind of send it back and forth or something.
Simon, do we have a map of the town, you think that we could maybe, just kind of do make some drawings or highlight some things along the way, we could maybe come up with something like that.
And we don't wanna put more work on you, if that's something that, as Joe's looking into this with us, if there's some certain locations where we're like, we're not so sure, this is what we might think is best, but what does Bloomfield think is best? Maybe we can hop on another call and he can have,
Yeah.
I'm brainstorming here, but maybe a map of like your, courthouse area, right there in town, like when we're looking at the parking. If we wanna put some, we want to put some specifics in the report, so maybe we can hop on another, like a Zoom call or have another meeting like this and say, okay, this is what we're thinking, is that aligning? And this is what we can do within the constraints of the project, does this align with what you guys are thinking? How would be the best use for the people of Bloomfield?
We could put something together like that, and we can kind of walk through it like digitally, kind of on the screen, map, zoom in and out, and kind of just pinpoint these things. You guys know the backstory, if you know the store owners and all that kind of stuff, and some of those nuances of,
Well, my example where the road's narrower
Yeah,
than
yes,
west,
yes.
initially I thought, well, it's pretty simple, why can't we just widen? It'd be the south side to even,
Okay.
well, you do that, and you're about this close to the building.
Yeah.
The building's on the south side of 231, so.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point. If we need to acquire right-of-way for sidewalk, we may look into that, but I don't think there's any room to buy buildings or anything like that with this project. Yeah, so. Is there anything else you wanna add? I know I wanna make sure we talk about, sidewalk crossings, things like that, but David, do you have anything as we're talking through? I feel like we're in the traffic realm a little bit, so.
I was just if Joe, if you wanna keep working down your spreadsheet, you can just touch on them as they come up. I don't think I have anything general for right now. One of the big other topics is, and it kind of came up with parking is what made me think of it, like, we have traffic signal modernizations planned at our signals that need them to upgrade to more modern equipment, get all the aging poles out of there with new poles, things of that nature. If the town would like any decorative aspects, what we typically do is NDOT will pay for our standard pole. Joe could come up with a cost if there's interest on, here's the spec for, let's say, a black pole, things like that. That more decorative if you give him ideas, and it would just be that differential that we'd ask the town to pay for. So that's something we can put feelers out on today and can make its way into the final report to give you an idea as you plan your budgets, what would need to be included towards that and how to make it happen.
Likewise, I believe, like, welcome to Bloomfield signs, those have been discussed. We wouldn't be able to pay for those things, but that's something that, we can put as a note, something maybe we could partner with some funds to get that included in some of those projects.
Best way we can describe it is it's never going to be cheaper or more effective if you're already, that's something that's of interest or priority. We're paying for things like construction, utilities, right of way, the baseline poles, so you're getting good cost effectiveness. It's just, obviously, no one has enough money for everything, so it's up to the town, of course, to decide what the priorities are, but there are a lot of things that are potentially on the table as part of this, and if you have an idea like, oh, I don't know if that would work, since this is a relatively reformed program, I wouldn't take anything off the table to start. At least we're happy to investigate anything, and worst we can do is find out the answer is no.
Sure.
There's options for that too. I mean, think, baseline function is kind of the state, not side of it. Landscaping, aesthetics, things on over top of that would probably be a cautionary ask of Bloomfield. Decorative poles, like, landscaping, trees, gateway elements, signs, flags, flagpoles, flowers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be outside of the limit of what we're
Right,
gonna be able to do.
right, so anything aesthetic like that is the cost sharing side of it that would probably be asked by NDOT. And, again, the priority list, right, of Bloomfield, is what we look to go for. I don't think I have anything else kind of generally on this agenda to talk through.
Can we dive into crosswalks a little bit? I know we had some areas identified, your existing crosswalks, but as far as usage, you guys know that people are walking more than we do. Do you have any concerns with the existing crosswalks you have, or any that aren't really being used, but hey, if there were one over here, that would really, be a safety upgrade for our community? Do any locations come to mind?
The sidewalk on the east side of the park along 231, does that already have crosswalk down to the gas station? I don't know if there are.
As far as the markings on the highway,
Is there already a handicap accessible crossing in there?
I can't remember.
Because that gets used a lot, that people coming and going, walking to the park. In the fall, we have our annual Apple Festival, and there's a lot of pedestrian walking along 231. There are already sidewalk on both sides of the 231, but I'm not sure if there's if the handicap accessible.
Yeah, it's off of Harrison Street.
That's what I
Yeah,
Harrison
yeah.
Street.
Thank you.
Thank you, I was making an assumption of where it was, but
Yeah.
Harrison Street, okay, great.
That's crossing through the park.
Harrison on the east side of the park.
Right there. Yeah, it's in the west
And then-
entrance.
On the west side of the park,
Okay.
West side's Park Line.
Park Lane, where Park Lane comes down to 231. There's a fair amount of traffic going across the highway, particularly from the baseball diamond.
Yeah, we were wondering about that, okay.
There's Subways over there, and feed store, beer company. You might see me crossing there once in a while. But there is a fair amount of traffic,
From that crossing.
pedestrian going across there.
There is.
Okay, yeah, those were the two that we had on our radar, okay. Okay.
Two others we were looking at, Joe, I don't know if you have the notes from the field check and some of the spots we talked about, but by the Dairy Queen, we noticed there was and we're looking for a full high visibility crosswalk, so potentially the rapid rectangular flashing beacon signs that glow at the drivers as a pedestrian crosses, the high visibility piano key crosswalks, really trying to make them pop and safe for pedestrians, but the Dairy Queen, we noticed already had something. I was curious if that was a major crossing.
Yes, it is, what is that, what's it called? The east side of.
Is
East
it-
side of Dairy Queen, is that Lewis?
Yeah, that's what, I was gonna ask, is that Lewis? That's on the, yeah, that's on the east.
For, people that would walk to our, pool, that would be, and a lot of kids, when school's in session, there are a lot of kids walking around, going to and from DQ. If I go back a minute for, I think at Harrison Street intersection. Well, it's not Harrison, up a block, on Cleveland Street. I happen to live on Cleveland Street, and if there's ever been a need for a stoplight to be put in, I think it would be right there by Huts. That is, particularly when, school's in session, that would be worth considering. But it's, in the morning when, all the buses come down through there and people are trying to go through to get to work, and it's very heavy traffic.
I don't know who laid the town out, whatever, 150 years ago, or who laid the highway through town with that little S curve right there.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that? I mean,
Slow people down.
somebody was off about whatever degrees. I don't know if you guys understand all that.
Somebody probably had a house there,
Somebody sneezed or something.
or that, yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's,
Traffic calming.
well, it's a dangerous spot because right where that curves is John Street. And I live a block and a half to the south.
There's that.
And I will not come up to that intersection and turn left. Because the traffic coming west, you don't see it until boom, they're there, so I always turn off. You can't do anything about that, but I mean, it's one of those silly quirks that, why it's like that, we'll never know, but.
So something that, all of this has me thinking, and again, David's our traffic guy, so he's gonna say, well, you didn't make that sound very good, but he can jump in here. As part of this, we are gonna do a high level look at where the crashes are happening, and then zoom in and kind of run analysis at these different locations. So you're bringing up, a potential need for a light at Cleveland Street. If we are going to, and this is where I should just let David talk, if there is a need to put up a traffic light or take down a traffic light, there's a checklist of things, we call it warrants. It has to be that light has to be warranted, but there's a list of things that so many have to, be checked for one to go up or go down. So we can run a warrant analysis at that, at Cleveland Street. Those are some of the things that we can do as part of this.
police chief could get us some information there too on where our incidents happen.
We were actually at death, I think, coming, going west and going through that S curve, a few years ago, but, someone hit the telephone pole and it came through and the person was killed. I don't remember who it was, but.
To the jag.
Yeah.
I do have one standing water, and it's the only standing water I can think of. Is, be just east of Dairy Queen, just east on, be just east of Lewis. And if we get a 2-inch rain, matter of fact, the last one of those we had here 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody drowned out in there, and their car, not them.
Yeah, but still, even that is, okay, wow, okay. I'm glad it was here, it's one or the other, but
Yeah, I was
also
trying-
glad not that
it wasn't
happened either.
person.
Yeah, okay. No, that's helpful.
That was a crazy rain.
Pardon?
Linton was covered during that rain, it was wild.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they got a little more than here, but we were close behind, I think.
Yeah, I
What
was
year was
driving.
What year was that?
Oh, just like a
couple
couple.
2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was driving from
2026?
Bloomfield, and that's like a
We got a lot of
250
flooding
flood year
then.
event, I mean, that's crazy, it was nuts. I was shocked how many spots when that was 2 foot of water, you know?
It's, then it's so flat over there, it's no place for it to run to.
Anything else, Mike, that you need to?
I had, that's fine if you're good. We talked about a crosswalk by the housing authority high rise. That was the only other location I saw that we were in the field and didn't know if that would get used if it was added, since it's somewhat at a mid-block. We don't typically do mid-block crossings, but this type of project would give us the opportunity to do so as safe as possible, so we wanted to run that one if we thought there would be use there, and if there's not, we don't need to add it, but I figured it'd be worth talking through.
That's where you,
It's-
at the high rise.
Yeah, basically between Seminary and Jefferson, or at Seminary or Jefferson.
I would think not.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think either or, but not in the middle. You've got the entrance driveway into the parking lot, but possibly one on Seminary or Jefferson might be for walk.
That works, that's why we like these meetings. And is there anywhere coming into town, or especially, we've talked on the east-west portion of 231, but any need for crosswalks on that north-south Washington Street portion that we haven't discussed?
Down by the little, call it little strip mall, there is a fair amount of foot traffic, because there's folks living back in, they're now, I think, apartments, folks live, working at the Mexican restaurant. There's several folks back there living, and I think they're still redoing the old doctor's office building. That's supposed to be being made into apartments, but
How far south?
so as far as folks walking over to Dollar Store,
Yeah.
CVS, hardware store.
Are you talking about all the way down to the, southern area down by the Mexican restaurant?
That would, now I'll be honest with you, that was a little bit outside of our sidewalk limits, where we were thinking of putting sidewalk limits, but
Well, a sidewalk would be great from the railroad tracks down to,
yeah,
you're talking about on the north side of the railroad tracks.
yes, that's where we were considering our sidewalk limits.
There's a lot of foot traffic that goes, past the railroad tracks down.
So people are walking all the way from
Yeah.
town down to, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause I
and
think we were thinking our sidewalk elements might start at maybe just past the gas station, or North Street even. I don't know if I have
I
that.
thought we were at Mill Street.
No,
Yeah. But that's good to hear though, if there's a big need, if that's something that,
Yeah.
well, years ago, Sandra, you could probably remember, when did the town put streetlights, on that path where folks could walk or drive their golf carts?
It was probably back in maybe 2000, because I know Eric was on
So
the
it's
board.
probably been 20, 25
Yeah,
years
yeah.
before I was on the board.
They put three streetlights through there on what they call Poplar Street. Because Poplar Street
Oh, I
runs
see.
behind this old state highway garage and then comes out there near that mall area.
I think
And,
that's when we walked
I
down
think
the
so.
Poplar
Right.
Street,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which could be,
Yeah, and then we opened it up, we closed off the state highway side with barricades, so people couldn't drive through there. More so made it a large walking path, because we do have a lift station in that area down there that the boys check every day. But we kind of utilize that for just a walking path. So-
do you feel like that works really well, that people use it?
A lot of
Right.
golf carts.
A lot of golf carts too,
Golf carts.
too.
Keeps them off the highway.
Yeah, no, that's great, okay.
Joe, maybe we could look into, and I'm not sure what y'all think, this, I'm just on Google Maps right now thinking out loud, like, potentially do a broken out cost for, like, the Furnace Road, County Road 50 South that runs east-west, north of that shopping center, down to the south end of the shopping center to pick back up that sidewalk. And that would, cause the issue is, or the big issue I'm seeing right now off the top of my head is, ADA, our central office committee, doesn't like ramps that lead to nowhere. Which on one hand is understandable, but on the other hand can be frustrating when we know we have people crossing there.
Yeah.
But if we could continue that sidewalk even for a while, then we would be able to add those crosswalks safely, legally, all that fun stuff. So that might be something worth pursuing.
We might go check that out after our meeting today, maybe.
But you do see lots of folks walking, and lots of them are coming from the high rise, obviously, their transportation. You do see them walking along the highway, south of the railroad track, down to CVS, dollar store, hardware store.
Pharmacy.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, that's good to know.
And then even the folks that come down with it on the little side deal with it on their golf carts, they still have to come out on the highway for
The town of,
8 miles. I mean, it's going to go.
golf carts are town within an ordinance or allow, I guess,
On side streets,
On
yeah.
side streets,
Yeah,
okay.
it's supposed to be on, it's supposed to stay on the highway.
One other thing we haven't talked about with cost sharing, and I didn't think it would come up down here, it might be a little more important is, and I don't know if there's appetite or not, just do this, spread our dollars as far as we can and kind of keep on track with our mission. We typically only build the 6 feet of sidewalk. We've worked in the past with towns that would like something like an 8-foot shared use path to allow for cyclists on it, or 10-foot shared use path, and when you're talking about, people taking their bikes, their golf carts, potentially that would be more fitting. If that would be something the town would have interest in, that's another price we could get for you to help you make an informed decision, but if you think it's, and that goes for any of the sidewalks along here, to break them out to be wide enough to accommodate the multimodal features. That's discussions we've had with other towns in the past.
Yeah, I don't mean to be repeating, but, I had someone call me after we met with them the other day, and they said, okay, now tell me that again. I said, we'll pay for 6 feet. If it's wider, that's, you guys gotta pay for the extra 2 feet, or the extra whatever you want it to be. Just, yeah, for, in that, if they're doing sidewalk, if they're able to do sidewalk, it'll be 6 feet wide.
The big draw for that potentially is the ability to accommodate cyclists and get them off the road. I don't know if that's something that would be utilized in Bloomfield or not, but that's the typical reason for it is for that shared use feature.
Does it center around a season, like a good time to observe and maybe count pedestrian movements in these locations that you've identified? And we could literally go out there and when school starts, like count, the crossings to the school, park, the number of cyclists, if that's relevant. That's something we can assess, I'll use the word again, assess. And they can help drive some of those determinations about like kind of the hot spots of the heat map, if you will, of where pedestrians
I'll say
are going.
the west side of the park, that probably the best time there would be April, or the busiest time right now would be April and May, when folks are playing baseball.
Baseball.
That would be the busiest for that particular spot.
There just doesn't seem to be on 231 south, or down south, going down to Mexico, or whatever, there's not a lot of bicyclists I see along the side of the road.
No, this is just somebody at a long distance,
Bike riding.
People making the hike.
Yeah, I think most of them would take that loop around the backside rather than go down because it is heavily trafficked. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic on 231.
And across the tracks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Talk to the railroad, any project, and it gets infinitely more difficult to coordinate and a little more expensive to pay for things. Like pedestrian movement across tracks, vehicles obviously across railroad tracks. But the railroad wins usually those coordinations, but it's something that the board can look at, we can look at and assess that too. So the count of folks should maybe consider that path as well, crossing the tracks.
Has anyone noticed the railroad crossing in Switch City, how rough it has gotten all of a sudden? Just past the school, it's on 54. Used to, it wasn't bad at all, but now you just jolt your eye teeth out if you drive over that. I don't think the one here in south of town is too bad a shape right now, here in town, but that one just all of a sudden seemed like it's gotten worse.
I'll keep an eye out on the drive back and really pay attention when we cross this stuff.
I think they worked on this one over the last couple of years here.
Yeah, I think so.
On 231.
Yeah, those are interesting. Depending on the railroad, we can only get so close to the tracks. So some railroads will say, okay, you can pave right up to them almost, and then some will say, no, you've got to stay 200 feet back. I mean, it just depends. So yeah, our hands get tied because we want to meet their rules and safety standards, right? So yeah, we can only do so much sometimes.
Well, I'm 67 going towards Lyon out in Switch City, that one's in great shape.
Yeah.
And the one used to be, up until just recently, there, by the school, was good.
Is it really bad?
It's really rough now. Because, again, a lot of people from Linton work at Crane, and they, a lot of pedestrian driving through there. Okay. Other areas do we have?
Anything else coming to mind?
Well, we talked about curbing, we talked about, ADA compliances.
There's something else you could work into this project.
Uh-oh, he has a big smile.
That's whenever Westgate all built up, NDOT moved the state highway down there. And this is all vacant up here.
Oh, the highway, or
That
the
ought to be
unit.
something the state ought to donate to the town.
So at the end of this meeting, we're gonna give you a phone number, and it will, we cannot answer
Yeah.
that question, but that phone number will help you, maybe
we
you
go
can get
ahead and
connected
say,
with somebody
no,
that.
I think you go up the chain for that conversation, I think is what you're saying. But that, yeah, that
You
is.
say I need a good politician, is what I need.
We're not saying anything.
Yeah, all we can say, we're not the people that can answer that question one way or
Maybe,
the other, I
yeah.
don't wanna.
Yeah,
you know.
it's a property management kind of conversation, kind of separate from what
Yeah.
we're talking about here.
But it's said empty, I mean, there's literally been nothing there
Yeah.
since, so I don't know what the plans are, and should we do something with it one of these days?
Well, we enjoyed parking in it for our field check this week, so. Yeah, I hear you, I hear you.
Are they doing, you may not know, are they doing driver testing in that open area there?
I think they've utilized it to that some, I don't know if anybody knows more than I do, but,
Seems like they have cones up occasionally, and I heard that's what they're doing.
Once in a while, sometimes a bunch of equipment there that's waiting to go,
Yeah.
some project, I think.
good temporary laydown yard for our maintenance folks. They got a close by park, or a project,
Yeah.
meet there, corral there, and then head out to the site, things like that. And then testing happens in that building, where you'll see end-up vehicles, they run testing.
Yeah, there are folks still there.
Yeah, so, asphalt testing, concrete testing, things like that, that's what those folks are doing, quality assurance. Well, I don't wanna rush us through anything, but at the same time, if you guys think, I do wanna know, if you guys think of anything, we're gonna send out meeting minutes today, but please don't hesitate to reach out, like, oh, hey, it rained and I noticed that there is some more ponding water, standing water somewhere, or, we are seeing folks use the road in this way or the other, or if, as a council, you guys determine, oh, we're gonna do, we have some funding, we're gonna do a big project nearby, US 231, and I'm grabbing one of our crossings here, Park Lane. Anything that comes to mind of what you guys might be doing in the future, over the next 5 to 10 years, we'd love to hear about it and consider that in the report that we're putting together, for this area, so. Let this just be the first conversation of hopefully many in the project development.
I do have one other spot you can drop down.
Yeah.
During a heavy rain, water's running down the east side of the courthouse. And it gets down, there's a storm catch just north of Spring Street. Kind of the corner of Spring and, 231. There's an issue with there's a break in the pipe down below, but that washes out every heavy rain that the street guys have to bring gravel, dirt, pack it in there.
Is that so that's a city storm culvert that's having issues? Am I hearing, it's off of US 231?
No, it's on 231.
It's on 231, okay, okay. Yeah, and this is another one of those, the who owns what, typically, NDOT owns the inlets and the box structures, but the pipe in between, that's typically the city's responsibility. So again, we can look into it and we can make sure we do our homework, so we're having an informed conversation with you on that, but we'll look
Yeah,
into it.
and I could ask our street
That'd be great,
superintendent, give a little more information.
that'd be great.
I just see the hole every time it send it a text to fill it in, so.
No, please, we'd love to hear more, get more on that.
Made me think of your comment about CCNG also. If we could maybe gather any, adjacent or what that paving program or what the scope is of that work, if it has any impact or any points with this project with 231.
Your community crossing
CC.
projects, is that anywhere close to 231?
Not this year.
Okay.
Jefferson Street,
Jefferson
Lester,
and, Mill Street. Not Mill,
Judson.
Judson Street. Actually,
Judson comes out to 231.
yeah, down by where the TP, the state property
Oh,
is.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
being built.
Okay.
So,
And I think they've worked out how far, I know they have, I've heard them talk how far
yeah,
they have to stay back from the highway or whatever they gotta do.
but,
All-Star paving is who's doing it.
but they're somewhere between 231 and where the town road starts, is that real rough area? Did that end up being on the town part, or was that on the state?
I think they discontinued it prior to 231, so I don't know.
That might be the entrance to Judson Street off of US 231, going west, would be, it's real rough, and I don't know if it's gonna end up being taken care of with,
Jason could answer that.
yeah, that's,
I heard them actually talking about it.
yeah, I know they clarified where the line was, where the town part, property is and, the state. I just don't know if on the state side that, that's not gonna be part of this paving, is that gonna be the rough area? Cause there's, as you pull off the 231 to go on the road, it's really rough right there, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be taken care of with this, with our paving this year. That road.
I think it is.
And that project should be done within the next month or two,
Great.
that blacktopping.
We'll be back up. You need to move that date up, Sandra.
I know, I'm trying.
I'm hoping within the next,
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I don't know.
Thank you, forgot to ask that. We brought that up before, thanks.
Okay. Last thing I've got, sorry, then I promise I'm done. Joe will be sending out meeting minutes after this. Him and Holly both seem taken. Plentiful notes. If you could review those when they get sent out, just to make sure our understanding of what's been discussed is the same as your understanding. Just make sure it's not like, oh, we actually meant there or this or that. We would definitely appreciate that review to make sure we're all on the same page before money decisions start being made based on them.
Okay, yeah, we have to look at it.
And the most important person here, do you have any thoughts on this?
No.
She runs the ship, we're just all here to help.
No, but my contact information should be on there, so if you, I know I coordinated this with Sandra, so thank you for that. And then if you guys have anything, feel free to reach out. Like we said, fingers crossed that this one is one of the projects that gets picked, but, just remember right now it's pretty preliminary, so.
So how many projects will be picked out of 600 and something? You don't know that answer? Okay, I just didn't know.
Funding,
Okay.
kind of depends, so if, the need for this one is, I'm gonna say something that it won't be. If the need for this one is $500 and somebody else's is $1 million, but it's going to, fix all of the safety problems in the world, that one might get chosen, and there might be less money on the table for this one. Obviously, the numbers I'm using are very dramatic here, but yeah, it just depends. I know that's like the worst answer I can give you, right? But it just depends, so.
But you just mentioned something there. We talked about it, but we didn't actually use that language, the word safety.
Yeah,
Anything we can dream up, pull up, think of, whoever we are. I mean, I know the company I used to work for, but,
Yeah.
I mean, that was the number one item. I mean,
It is.
if you wanted anything done, any money, you had to connect it to safety issues.
and that's why we're talking about sidewalks, and that's why we wanna make it a smooth pavement, and that's why we're upgrading, all of the traffic. You hit the nail on the head, we're doing all of this because of safety, so, absolutely, thank you.
And I heard the governor just talk here recently about how well we're doing statewide. Our surplus, I mean, we're knocking it out of the park, he said. There ought to be plenty of money.
It's state money.
Yeah, I know it is.
The federal, is the gap, the federal money is not presented.
Okay, though, we see the need for this this project or we wouldn't be here, so we hope we can get it to be pushed through too, so.
And you said we're very preliminary, when any kind of decision you think possibly even be made is,
Yeah, 32,
so we're talking at the earliest work to be done a year from now?
oh,
Farther out than that.
I think if we got awarded this and everything aligned perfectly, maybe 32, 33, but we are very preliminary. I think that might even be wishful thinking, if I'm being honest with you.
We're gonna we'll have the grade done then before that, the grade out west of town.
Yeah, yeah, probably. I mean, if you're thinking of projects.
Are you hearing or seeing any movement on the grade? Is it on anyone's list to be able to get working?
Yeah, we're hoping it got funded, but, I'm trying to quote the PK number and I can't do it right now. We submitted it last year, we submitted it last year for 2031 funding. So we're hoping that we can get it pushed in there, but again, it's like everything else, we're going against the rest of the state. That,
I've
you
not
speak
heard
on.
anything changing on it for now, so, as of now, I think that's.
Yeah. So 2031 is what we're hoping.
They did do a nice job on the kind of patchwork repair.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking we patchworked enough. Why didn't they just do it?
The way the funding works.
I know.
Yeah, we use.
They did do
quick-
a nice job though, from what it was
Yeah.
to what they've had to do numerous times, taking out big chunks.
We used IEIQ money for that, which is our like quick funding bucket, and so that was the ability to get something done quickly, but, planning that further out project to get it done by costs a lot more, so.
So we like to maintain a balanced budget, which is why we can have as a state, every department likes to maintain a balanced budget. So that's why we can hopefully keep that surplus you see statewide. But we've got our bucket of money and we have, we are over budget on this project, or if things just keep getting more expensive, as I know you know, we have to rebalance the program. We have to shift projects around. So that's why we look at each other like, we hope 2031. If things don't get any more expensive, we hope it'll stay in 2031, but we have the same, you guys have the same issues we
Yeah.
have, right? Dollar doesn't go as far as it used to, so.
There's something else that I laugh about every oxide NDOT project, with the orange barrels, a million of them out along the project. They will be there, if somebody's in charge of the orange barrels in here, they will be there at least 1 month after it's done, at least. I don't know if we buy those, rent those, lease them, but we could save thousands of them if we pick the damn things up when the project's over.
Most of those belong to the contractor, so the Indiana contractor is, you can take that up with them.
Yeah,
Um,
ICI,
ICI, Indiana Contractor Institute,
Inc.
Inc.
Sometimes there's a mobility issue. They're gonna pick them up and take them to another site, probably. Store them, maybe. Or sometimes, like, after a project is done, it might not be, there might be a punch list item, there might be something within that project that isn't safe to open to traffic yet because a bridge inspector or somebody hasn't gone to look at it. Some of those things cause that sometimes, but a lot of times they're just, you're right, it's kind of neglect of the owner of.
But if it's the contractor, I would think NDOT would want to get them out of here. I mean, the project's done,
Yeah,
And
It's-
we are,
they're a
we're all
nuisance.
picking on them, but it is usually a
they're a
safety issue.
nuisance,
You
they're just
can't
a
see it.
nuisance for any of us, to me, and particularly, it's just really a thorn, because I just chuckle every time project's been done for 6 weeks, and I'm still driving around orange barrels.
And I'm gonna be, again, the advocate for the contractor here. I think the one that's most common that my mom gets on me for is, it looks done, look at it. Well, I know, we just did concrete patching, and it needs so much time to cure, or the test results haven't come back, that the semis are ready to
All
run.
this stuff they put on the bridges,
That's the one she always picks me on. It's done. No, Mom, that concrete is curing. Let it be.
a good one is roadside safety as well, like guardrail is generally the last thing to be installed, so I mean, some of those locations might be, you know, have like a nice little drop off after, you know, the pavement, so they gotta sell a guardrail maybe too. I'm just coming up with,
Yeah.
you know, random scenarios of why.
It's just a pet
you know.
peeve, I just,
Yeah,
something I can laugh at.
Yeah.
wasn't there a Bob and Tom song about orange barrels?
Oh,
and
yeah. I just wish I'd been one that had invented it, because I'd be a wealthy person right now, but everywhere you look, there's orange barrel.
Especially on I-69.
On 60.
But again, those bridge overlays are
Yeah,
really good,
they
they're
are.
recent. But no, thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you, this has been very informative, and,